this time, I would like to introduce Marion Moskowitz. And Marion, again, thank you today for being with us, taking time out of your busy schedule.
It's our absolute pleasure to be here today. All of us, we really enjoy coming to these events, and we hope you'll have us back. You know, this has been an interesting year, obviously, and with COVID at the forefront. I'm just going to share some of our priorities for this coming year. But first, I want to thank Donna, the board of the Western Chamber of Commerce, and all of you. You know, your efforts this year to help us, your creativity, your support, and especially your perseverance over this past year. It will soon be one full year since our personal lives and our business lives were changed because of this pandemic. And while this morning we're here to share with you our non-COVID plans for county government, I want to take just a minute or two to update you on the topic that is on everyone's mind, the COVID-19 vaccine. The Chester County Health Department, Chester County Health Department continues to work with all COVID-19 vaccine partners throughout the county to get the vaccine out as quickly as possible. And we're following the phased approach set by the PA Department of Health and the CDC. We are requesting maximum doses of the vaccine each and every week. But just to give you an idea of the challenges we're facing, in phase 1A, we're currently vaccinating the original 1A, which was the healthcare personnel, long-term care facilities, and EMS workers. In Chester County, that accounts for over 29,000 people. We were just nearing the end of phase 1A, making plans to start vaccinating groups of people in 1B when the state changed the goalpost and added 2 more groups to phase 1A. Everyone 65 and over, and those 16 to 64-year-olds with certain medical conditions. We can understand the reasons why these groups were added, but that change moved 90,000 more eligible people into Chester County into phase 1A and pushed the groups in 1B back quite a bit. On average, our health department has been only receiving 2,000 doses of the vaccine each week. The addition of the 90,000 people to 1A did not bring with it additional vaccines. In fact, last week, when the change was announced, we received just half the doses we applied for. So our request remains, please be patient, it's hard. As soon as we receive the vaccine, we are administering the vaccine. And in the meantime, we ask everyone to continue doing what they've been doing. Wear a mask, keep your distance from one another. It is the key way to control the spread of COVID until everyone who wants a vaccine has the vaccine. If you're planning on getting the COVID-19 vaccine and haven't pre-registered for it yet, I encourage you to go to our health department web pages and complete the form. By doing that, you'll receive weekly updates on our progress with the vaccine, and you will be contacted separately when appointments become available. How soon that will be truly depends on how quickly we receive the vaccine doses. We are ready with vaccine sites and staff to administer the vaccine. We just need more of the vaccine itself. And now on to non-COVID matters. You know, when Josh, Michelle, and I started working together as a new Board of Commissioners last year, one of our priorities was to really look at how we could improve county government, make it more efficient and effective. Then COVID stopped us in our tracks. Now, as we move to 2021, we are refocusing on improving county government. We are setting out on a mission to reinvent our county government with a particular focus on improving Chester County's already strong financial situation. One area we are placing our focus on is the budget process. As you can all appreciate, once the budget is completed and approved, it's time to move on to plans for the next year's budget. There is very little downtime, especially in county government. So early on this year, we will be asking our county departments to move from the ways they have budgeted in the past and instead look at structuring their department budgets based on what they truly need. Once we have set as the baseline, then we will start holding departments accountable for performance results, for improving outcomes, and tying funds to those performance results and outcomes. And while on the subject of the budgets, The 2021 budget that Josh, Michelle, and I reviewed and approved back in December included funding some key projects. This year, we will be purchasing our county administration building in Westchester. By purchasing rather than leasing, the county will save $16 million over the next 10 years. We are also investing further in our Chester County libraries, which have always been important to all of our communities, but which have proved even more valuable during COVID. We have plans this year to begin the process of constructing a county morgue, and we are contributing significant funding to 6 affordable housing projects throughout the county, including $1.2 million in housing funds for the 60-unit Willows at Valley Run in Cowan Township. Finally, before handing over to Josh, I want to mention our plans to support economic recovery, which will put us back on the road to economic development in Chester County. Before COVID hit us, we had already planned a review of our economic development strategy. Our COVID-19 business task force, of which Donna is head of the Western Chamber, is a member now focusing on medium to long-term strategies that will lead us to an economic recovery. And I believe that the impact of the pandemic will certainly help to inform us on new approaches to economic development, not just in Chester County, but across the region too. I thank you very much for having me here today. And now I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner Maxwell.
Thank you, Marion, and good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you today to share information on the 2021 plans for the County of Chester, and to answer any questions that you might have about those plans, get your input about county programs and all of the services that the county offers. As Marion mentioned, we are setting out on a mission to reinvent our county government with a particular focus on improving the county's already financial situation. So in addition to changing the ways that the county government and most county governments have traditionally prepared budgets, we are also looking specifically at our capital budget, which is funded mostly through bonds and 20-year debt issuances. Despite having a premier credit rating, AAA from Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch ratings, we do borrow money traditionally for a number of capital projects. Our plan next year is to conduct a reserve study to ensure that we have the funding allocated into all of our accounts for important infrastructure maintenance projects long term, and that we don't need to issue any debt moving forward to pay for many of them. One of the key discoveries brought on by the pandemic is understanding how county government can effectively provide many of its services remotely. Because of the county's investments in technology, in the early weeks of COVID-19, a significant number of our staff were able to work from home as if they were sitting at their office desk, just like all of us here today. It meant that we could continue many programs and services that went beyond essential. As the months went on, we recognized that working from home, for those who could do this, was keeping our employees safe. It was also proving to be being both effective and efficient. So because of this, we are asking our Employee Engagement Committee to look at the long-term viability of offering remote work options or hybrid options. And of course, that information will then play into analysis of our space needs, which could then lead us to make adjustments to the county's real estate portfolio, something we really would not have been planning a year ago prior to the pandemic. We're also making moves to revamp Chester County's procurement process. Last year, Chester County processed $328 million through a decentralized procurement system. And we believe that there's much room for improvement by moving to a centralized procurement system and by updating all of our policies and procedures at the very same time. This will help not only with efficiencies and controls, but will also lead to possibly millions of dollars in cost savings. Finally, I wanted to mention a latest policy addition that contributes to the standards we are when I say we, I mean our board, Marion, Michelle, and myself, are setting on transparency and good government. Late last year, we approved the Chester County Employee Code of Ethics policy, which sets clear expected behaviors for anyone working or serving under control of the Chester County Commissioners. The policy addresses conflicts of interest, political activity, gifts, and misuse of personal services and county property. It has been enacted because this is an issue with county employees, quite the opposite. This book, and giving you, the residents of Chester County, faith in the decisions that our county government is making. And we're going to be communicating these expectations. It gives all of you a level of trust and confidence in our county commissioners and employees that have worked together for a year now, and they completely deserve it. Our plans to reinvent county government at some of the more central administration levels in no way affects the great work that has been happening within our various county departments, many of which provide support to the western areas of our community. So before we move on to answering your questions, Commissioner Kickline and I will provide updates on particular county programs and services, which may even answer some of your questions before the rest. At least I hope they do. Marion also mentioned the exciting news regarding the affordable housing projects that are being supported by the county in the coming year. 6 affordable housing projects in total, including 1 in Count Township, which according to most activity this type in the 26 plus years in Chester County. In addition to the affordable housing projects, Pat and his impressive team are currently supporting other community development projects, including necessary infrastructure and streetscape upgrades through Chester County's Community Revitalization Program. This includes the Acklands Ridge Avenue water main upgrade, which will begin this year, Honeybrook sidewalk extensions, the Great Borough Modina's South Brandywine Avenue bridge replacement, completed towards the end of this year, and 2 projects in Valley Township, the Hemlock Bridge project, which finished late last year, and activity on Concord Street. In total, just over $2.1 million in revitalization projects for 2020 and 2021. And not forgetting the Coatesville specific projects. $600,000 to purchase and renovate the Chester County OIC offices. Almost $500,000 for the renovation of the Coatesville Public Library. The First Avenue and Lincoln Highway intersection project, and support for the train station garage. And finally, arguably some of the best investments the county has made, our good friends Sonia Hutzinger, Arias Cole, and Charles Green working steadfastly with Second Century Alliance. The efforts of Sonny, Arias, and Charles, in concert with the City Council, Mr. James Logan, Skip Houston, and many community partners in Coatesville are supporting positive growth and development of Chester County's only city, which truly benefits Western Chester County and, of course, all of Chester County. Thank you for your time today. I'll now hand it over to my colleague, Commissioner Michelle Kickline.
Thank you, Josh, and good morning, everybody. It's good to be with you, even if it is virtually. I'm beginning to think my world is a little bit like the Brady Bunch with everybody in boxes. But this morning, I'd like to update you on some other things that we're doing in Chester County. I'm going to be updating you on watersheds, fire and EMS strategies, economic development for agriculture, and the ways in which we are moving forward to restore Chester County as we come out of the restrictions of COVID-19. That certainly gives you an idea of the wide range of business and economic interest in Western Chester County. First, Watersheds. Watersheds was first published in 2002 as part of Chester County's original comprehensive plan, Landscapes. In 2002, believe it or not, it was nearly 20 years ago. Watersheds is our integrated water resources management plan, which gives us a snapshot of our current water resources condition. It offers guidance to protect those water resources and serves as framework to support sound land use and water resource management. As part of Watersheds and to meet state requirements of Act 167, Chester County developed a stormwater management plan with a model ordinance created for all municipalities to adopt, important not only for now, but as we inevitably grow in population and development. With this stormwater management plan now in place throughout the county, guess what? It's time to update the plan. Why, you might ask? To support the plan and actions of Landscapes 3, Chester County's latest version of the comprehensive plan, and to update the status of water resource conditions and the guidance for water resource protection, restoration, and management. The updated plan will be completed next spring for adoption by all municipalities by the end of 2022. And if you want to know more, Soon Bion, our Water Resources Director, and her team will be presenting background on the new stormwater management plan to the Western Chester County Chamber this coming Wednesday morning. Next, an update on Chester County's fire and EMS strategic plan. As background, Chester County's first responder organizations and Chester County's Department of Emergency Services came together with the intent to focus on future needs and concerns of the first responder community. Through grant funding, the group engaged Municipal Resources, Inc., MRI, to complete an organizational effectiveness and operations evaluation, and to come back with a plan and actions to help address the future needs and concerns of first responders. Last September, MRI presented its strategic plan covering every aspect of fire and EMS services in Chester County, with a timeline for recommendations for all of our county's public safety leaders. MRI addressed aspects like standard of response, covering staff levels and needs, volunteer recruitment and retention, apparatus and equipment, training, and funding. Now, representatives from every first responder community are working with the Chester County Association of Township Officials, our municipal managers, and the Department of Emergency Services to develop the recommended actions. Some of those actions include agreeing collaborative efforts to purchase equipment and annual maintenance costs and other cost-saving measures. Our first responder community is so crucial to Chester County. Their desire to maintain excellent service in the face of so many challenges like volunteer recruitment, funding, and training make this plan and its implementation necessary for the safety of our community. So moving on to agricultural economic development. A new study on this will begin next month and will continue through the end of this year. The plan will look at issues that are negatively impacting Chester County's agricultural sectors and are limiting growth in farm business. It will identify opportunities for growth, including more job opportunities at all skill levels, and will identify new markets to help ensure that Chester County remains a top agriculturally producing county in the Commonwealth for many years. Before COVID, this study would have been very important. Because of COVID, it is even more important because agriculture is one of our industries greatly impacted by the pandemic. Before we move to questions and answers, I leave you with this. All economies, including Chester County's, have been greatly hurt by COVID-19. Unemployment here surged to 12% last April, but we have shown a resiliency through the summer and fall with November 2020 unemployment rate of 4.4%, the lowest in the region, and that's compared to a 6.6% statewide unemployment rate. Every industry has been impacted differently, so it is important for us to be as supportive as we can by those most impacted. Last April, as Marion mentioned, we established the COVID-19 Business Task Force, and the efforts of this task force led to the creation of Restore Chester County, the online resource providing guidance to businesses and residents on how safely to navigate COVID-19 during various stages of opening up, how to reopen and how to stay open. And since then, the Business Task Force has finalized the short-term targeted stabilization of 21 industry sectors and is now moving on to the next phase, which focuses on broader long-term recovery. Last May, the first of our Main Street Preservation Grant programs offered $5 million in funding to small businesses. And by June, those grants had directly helped 250 businesses across the county. Our second Main Street Preservation Grant, offering a further $10 million in grants for small businesses, was launched in December, and we will soon be announcing the businesses that were awarded those grants. Partnerships have truly helped us during this pandemic. Connections with the Economic Development Council, the United Way Financial Stability Center, and Workforce Development Board, our township officials, borough officials, and City of Coatesville, and of course, our chambers of commerce. Donna, you and your board members have worked so hard throughout the last 10 months to support your members in the region and the county as a whole. And the three of us sincerely thank you for your support.
Thank you, commissioners. We are going to start with a few questions. We are going to start out with COVID questions that were submitted by attendees in our chat. The first question, should the county not recover its funds, will there be any taxpayer liabilities or tax increases related to the county's lawsuit over COVID-19 testing kits?
Thanks for the question. I'm sure it's on everybody's mind. We can't really talk about the lawsuit, but I can tell you that there will be no tax impact on Chester County residents for this. This was CARES dollars, federal dollars, used to try to do everything we could to help the community.
Thank you. Our second one, with the expansion of Category 1A on the priority list for vaccines, how do we keep residents older than 75 years old at the top of the priority list?
While all the guidelines changed to folks 65 and over and people under 65 with medical conditions, which is, I believe Mary mentioned, includes more than 100,000 people out of our population of more than 500,000 people. Our initial list of people who were eligible for that, when the guidelines came out first, were for people over 75. So those folks happened to be, because the guidelines at the time, the first to register for a vaccine in Chester County. And then we opened it up to folks 65 and over and those with medical conditions, because we were required as a provider of the vaccine to follow the CDC guidelines and make sure that all municipalities throughout the country are following the same set of rules. So over 75 happened to be the first to sign up on the list in Chester County. And we'll continue to work through that list as vaccines come in. But the biggest issue to getting people vaccinated in Chester County, and I think both of my colleagues would agree, is getting the vaccines here to Chester County. We're getting about 2,500 per week, and we have 100,000 people or more in our 1A group. So every time we get a shipment in, we open up appointments for 2,500 people, or however many vaccines we get in. We use all of our vaccines that week. The next week, get another shipment in, and we open up more appointments. So we use all of our vaccines every week, and we'll continue to work through that list.
Rachel, if I could just add a little something, just because I happen to have somebody in my household right now who's in that cohort. It's my mom. And, we've been talking a lot about the Chester County vaccination, but just to clarify to everybody that's listening, we are not the only vaccine provider in Chester County. So I'm encouraging people, given that currently we're nationally facing a shortage of vaccine, to also sign up with their hospital providers. For instance, Chester County Hospital is also a vaccine provider. And I know Penn Medicine is starting to contact folks that are 75 and older. I know Mainline Health, if your doctor's affiliated with that, is doing the same thing. So we have a list on our county website of other vaccine providers, and I just highly encourage this vulnerable population of over 75 to sign up for wherever they can, and whoever will contact them first, whether it's Chester County, whether it's Chester County Hospital, Mainline Health, whatever your provider is, that's where you should go first.
And if you're going to sign up on multiple lists, like Commissioner Kukline mentioned, please make sure when you get your vaccine to take your number off the list of the other folks you signed up for.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next one is, do you have continued support plans for those living in convalescent care organizations?
Yes. So a lot of those are private, as you know, but our health department works very closely with all of them, making sure that they are doing what they need to do, and that if we can provide any help at all, we're there to help them. They are receiving their vaccines through sources like CVS and some other distributions that go right into the facility, into the long-term care facilities, and give out their vaccine. That's really not what we are doing in Chester County. We are not going to those facilities. They're already taken care of through the state program. But we work very closely to make sure that we're staying on top of what's going on and helping them in any way we can. Within limits, they are private, most of them.
Great. And what is the best way that community members can stay up to date with the county's efforts with COVID? Is there a special page you want everyone to continue visiting, or?
Yeah, so the Chester County website, I would say follow Chester County Health Department and Chester County government on social media. A decision might be made at noon. They'll post it at 12:01. They're really good at getting that information out very quickly. Second, I'll encourage people to sign up for the Chester County government newsletter that goes out on Fridays, that follows everything that happened that week and everything that's going to happen the following week. And third, if you're interested in a vaccine, sign up on our pre-registration link, and you'll get weekly emails on updates on how things change. For example, the CDC guidelines changed last week, and we're updating those things. Vaccine availability might change based on the Johnson & Johnson news this morning. So we'll continue to keep our list, everyone interested in receiving a vaccine, updated on what happens, including Chester County's numbers as they progress, the percentage of our population that is vaccinated, how many vaccines we get a week, how many we've administered a week, and how many the entire county, including providers, like Michelle mentioned, as Chester County Hospital, local pharmacies, and things like that. Just their general numbers. They don't share their specific numbers with us. But what we know, we'll share with everyone.
Thank you. We're going to shift gears here a little bit.
Can I just add one thing to that, because I don't want people to be confused, but there is a lag time. The numbers that we put out, that everybody puts out, there's about a 72-hour lag time by the time all that information comes together. So just people should be aware that what they see on one site, it has to be culminated into the various county sites too.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to shift gears a little. I have a question not COVID related. With all the new development in the western part of the county, what are the plans to improve the infrastructure and the impact on the community with the increased volume of people?
Michelle, do you want to take this? You discussed the
Sure, I'm happy to do that. You know, as I said, we do have our Landscapes 3 plan, and that was just recently updated, and it discusses really the county's vision for working in partnership with municipalities, boroughs, and our city of Coatesville, and anticipating growth. But as we've noted, we certainly, I think that's one of the reasons Chester County has been so successful, not just regionally, but nationally in its vision. We also are balancing that with the continued importance of our water resources, our open space preservation, and especially now with COVID, while on one hand it's great because I think people are realizing that they want to be out here in Chester County. We are anticipating a 30% growth in the next 20 some years. And we've been planning. That's something we do very well. And we also, as Commissioner Maxwell noted, we value the partnerships with our local partners so that we can talk with organizations like you as well as our local elected officials because even though Landscapes 3 is the vision for the entire county, the zoning power still lies with the local municipalities and the cities. So, we work as commissioners, we work really hard with our planning department to make sure that newly elected officials are educated on Landscapes 3, that can talk to all of us about their concerns about overcrowding and how to mitigate that, yet still balance that kind of quality of place that Chester County is so well known for.
And Michelle, you may be able to answer this next one as well. The question is, how can those of us working with food and agriculture employees best communicate county-based needs to the commissioners over the next year to ensure their needs are met?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that question. We actually have an agricultural department. We have an advisory board. We do, on a regular basis, back when we could, but we still do it by Zoom, meet and talk with those folks. So if people have concerns or issues they want raised, if you're on this call, you can certainly email any of us and we can put you in contact with our folks in our planning department that works specifically on those issues. Because we do realize, that despite all of this, the largest aggregate industry in Chester County still is agriculture. So we're, very aware of the value that it has not only for livelihoods, but also for, the economic well-being of our county. And as I noted in my comments, this has been a very, very hard-hit industry in terms of impact on workers, in terms of, distribution chains. So it's something that, we take very seriously. So if people have specific follow-up questions, please email the three of us at the county commissioner's office, and we'll be happy to direct you to the right place.
Thank you. Next question. What type of business enterprises in the county is the county focused on attracting and recruiting? And what kind of distinctiveness are you pursuing?
That's a really good question because we in Chester County, unlike some other counties, do so many different things and we do them really well. I mean, between agriculture, and industry. Some of what's happening, and you're going to hear some announcements in February, is we're bringing in a lot more of technology companies. We seem to be attracting technology companies, bio-life sciences, which we've always done. But certainly industry. I mean, it's interesting. We're working now, the commissioners and I are working now with Urban Outfitters in Coatesville, bringing in a lot of jobs for local residents, which is an interesting joint venture with the state, the governor's office, and PennDOT and Urban Outfitters. And we've all come together, and Urban and the state are paying actually to have a bus service for people in Coatesville to get them to Urban. Urban can't find employees, and so they're coming into Chester County looking for employees. We have CTDI that needs employees and is having trouble getting them. So everybody, it seems as though, not everybody, but some of our larger companies keep expanding, and those around the area are now looking at Chester County as a way of getting employees. So it's a real nice project to work on. I think we're really excited to be part of it, bringing over 200 jobs to the Coatesville area. But I see this as a model going forward that we might be able to do some additional things like that. But certainly, the industries that we have, agriculture obviously is our number one, and the industries that are connected with ag are very important as well. But we do have life sciences. We have a lot of other things, but technology is a big one coming into there. There's a lot of interest. So, I mean, Susan Springsteen's building, it's a great building for incubator businesses. So we'll see. There's a lot going on. It's exciting. But I think that we don't have to be just one thing. And I think it is important that we have a variety of things. It keeps us strong through all kinds of economies.
Thank you. Next one, due to the pandemic, our residents are seeking outdoor activities. Are there any updates on the extension of the Chester Valley Trail?
Yes, we can give a limited update, but I think a very positive one. Recently, we cut the ribbon on the Chester Valley Trail extension into Exton, near the train station there. The county is working in a very positive way on an actionable plan with PennDOT to extend the Chester Valley Trail into Thorndale, with the goal of moving it out to Ackland. And our trail group is working on both from the western part of the county in Ackland, connecting into the trail system in Lancaster, but also extending the trail system from Exton into Thorndale. We can't announce the details of this, but I would say the general parameters of an agreement are in place, and the teams at PennDOT and at the county are working through the easements and making sure the properties exchanged are the appropriate ones, and everything measures up. And it's going to be an exciting project as SEPTA service continues to extend out into Coatesville, also bringing that Chester Valley Trail essentially along the same geographic corridor is going to be very valuable. I think help a lot of property values in central and western Chester County, and also hopefully continue to bring economic development to that area as well, as folks are able to navigate from Coatesville to the main line to Philadelphia and back, both by bike and by rail.
Great, thank you. And speaking on keeping residents healthy, one individual asked, what are you doing moving forward with the Simple Ask, Wear a Mask education?
We're still promoting it very heavily. We have some billboards around. You've probably seen those. I think there are still some banners around. We all wear masks and carry those masks, and we encourage people to wear them. We still market it on all of our emails have the logo. The county website always has the logo on it. Our newsletter has it. We're constantly pushing it out there. It is so important to get us through the rest of this pandemic. We have to be diligent about wearing the mask. We have to.
Definitely. Thank you. You may have heard this question a few times. What is the current status of the Coatesville train station update, if you have one?
I saw this question come in at the Q&A, so I texted our person on the ground. They're expecting it to go out to bid here in the next few weeks, and it's the next train station up in Chester County for construction. So we're going to continue to push PennDOT as we work with them on other projects to get going on here. And we know it's a priority for Coatesville. It's a huge priority for our board, for our region economically and socially. These things often move slow, but as we've seen in Paoli and Exton, the end result can be extremely impressive. And I have every expectation that this project will be an impressive one, and we'll do everything we can to make sure it is.
Mm-hmm. All right. How is the Main Street grants and funding going for small businesses? Are you getting feedback from the community or businesses?
Michelle.
Sure, I can take that since I talked about it a little bit. Yes, as I mentioned, we haven't announced the latest group, and we're going to be very excited. I'm sure the Chamber will be one of the first to hear. But for the businesses that have been impacted, and I mentioned it was over 250 businesses, it's really made a difference for them, being able to stay open, to adapt to this new environment. And, just to loop back to the last question, the wearing of the masks, it's not just a health initiative, but it's really been able to keep businesses open if people are complying. Because the last thing the business community wants is an outbreak traced to their small business. These folks have worked so hard through really, really trying times to comply and, to get things like, personal protective equipment for their employees, to keep their facilities clean, to add additional ventilation. And it's been a great effort, but, we all as individuals have our responsibility too. So.
Thank you. And one final question. I ask that attendees quickly get any other questions they have in the chat box. What financial support is available for restaurants and hospitality workers?
So through our Main Street Preservation Grant Program, the one that we put out in December for $10 million, that was, for all small businesses, but especially those that were extra, suffered more than others. So that would be the restaurant and hospitality industry. There are some grants that are coming down from the federal government that I think will also help through, and there's some loans. The SBA has some projects coming in, so that you will start to see some things. The state is talking about a big grant program for restaurants and the hospitality industry. So you just keep watching. You'll see some more things coming out shortly. I think within the next 30 days.
Yep, and we will surely keep the Chamber website updated. Commissioners, do you have any final comments you'd like to make?
I just want to personally thank the chambers. They have been all of our chambers have been so great and such great partners for us working through this COVID situation. I don't know what we would have done without you all, because we put all these great minds we have in this county together and have really come up with some wonderful ideas for businesses and really tried to help them. I think this is a model going forward to be working so closely together, and I hope we continue on that path. It's really been a wonderful experience. So,
I'll just add that I don't know what it's like to help lead a county government in a non-pandemic time, but I would like everyone to know that Marion, Michelle, and myself are every day working as hard as we can with the input from the community that we can gather, including and this chamber, the western part of the county, to make decisions that we hope save lives, but also lead to an economic recovery for Chester County. I would encourage you to continue to provide that input. It does inform our decision making and helps us to do a much better job. And I very much look forward to sometime later this year getting together in person, getting to meet those of you on the Zoom who have not had the opportunity to meet and get to know yet, learn about your businesses, and learn how the county can be a partner with the region moving forward.
And just, briefly, again, this really, I guess my colleagues mentioned, these opportunities, while they're virtual, they certainly are worthwhile. I actually shudder to think if this pandemic had occurred 25 years ago, what it would have done for our economy, for our businesses. I really, have seen the value of the chamber networking opportunities that you folks have managed to really keep going throughout this pandemic. It's so critical, and we just, again, to reiterate, we're here for you. I know this seminar is ending, but at any time, reach out to Donna, reach out directly to us if there's anything we can answer or we can do better. Or if you just want to thank us, because sometimes that's nice too. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity as well.
And I'll say a final thank you to all of you. We appreciate your leadership in the county, and most of all your friendship, because working together is the way to do things and accomplish things. So thank you so much.
All right, we are going to finish this event for today. I just encourage everyone to stay connected with the chamber and just reach out to us if you had any other questions on topics that we may have discussed today. Thank you and have a good day.